Hi guys, I'm Austin, and today I want to talk to you guys about water and its cool properties. Well, I'm pretty sure that many of you have heard the word H2O. That's actually the chemical formula for water. It means that there's two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom in every molecule of water. And these atoms are linked using hydrogen bonds. Hydrogen bonds are covalent bonds that can link hydrogen atoms to oxygen atoms, fluorine atoms, carbon atoms, and many more. Hydrogen bonds are not that strong, but they're strong enough to hold the molecule together. And hydrogen bonds are possible because of polarity. And polarity basically means that the electrons that are shared in a covalent bond are not equally shared, but are used more by one atom. In the case of water, because hydrogen has a slightly positive charge and oxygen has a slightly negative charge, the valence electrons, or electrons that are shared, revolve around the oxygen much more than they do for the hydrogen. So water is a polar molecule, and because of that, hydrogen bonds can be possible. Alright, I'll talk about four main properties of water. First one is surface tension and cohesion. Second one would be specific heat. Third one would be solid form of water, which is ice. Has a higher density, or actually, a lower density than the liquid form, water. And the fourth one is that water is a universal solvent. Okay, number one, surface tension and cohesion. Well, I'm pretty sure that many of you have experienced surface tension. I mean, like, if you go out to a lake, you could see water skaters sometimes that float on the water magically. Well, this is actually not magical because it's actually relating to surface tension. On the water's surface, water is connected, linked to each other through hydrogen bonds. As I said before, hydrogen bonds are strong enough to link the molecule or keep the molecules together, but can be easily broken. Well, water skaters have less force, and they don't have enough force to break those hydrogen bonds, which explains why they could perfectly just skate on the water, and while us or frogs or any other animals like bears cannot float or skate on the water surface. Cohesion is, well, it's basically water trying to keep itself together. So this actually helps in trees. Water in trees have to travel from root up, which gets disturbed by the force of gravity. Cohesion actually helps the water molecule fight gravity and lets water travel through the tree and then to its leaves. The second property is specific heat. Water has a very high specific heat, which is very helpful to the survival of humankind. The human body is made up of water. Actually, 70% of it is made out of water. And because of this high specific heat that water has, humans can survive extreme temperatures. Let's say that water did not have the specific heat and had a very low specific heat. that would result in total chaos because our body, the water in our body, will change temperatures very, very quickly, which will freeze us to death in cold temperatures, and I'm not sure what will happen in very hot temperatures, but I'm sure man will not be able to survive. So thanks to the specific heat that water has, us humans, and many other animals can endure extreme temperatures. The third property of water is that the solid form, ice, has a lower density than the liquid form, water. Ice, well, first of all, water as a liquid has a density of 1 gram, 1 of 1. Ice, as I remember, has a density of 0.93 something, which shows that ice has a lower density. In order for an object to be able to float in water, liquid water, the density of the object has to be lower, in which ice fits the needs. Ice floating in water is a very important thing because if ice would not float in water, that means ice would sink, and from that it would start forming ice all the way up, which means it will kill all the fish and all the crabs and all the sea organisms. That would also change the habitat in the North Pole as well as the South Pole and other cold places. So ice having a lower density than water is important. It's important for the fish that lives in the lakes and ponds. It's also important to the environment, considering the South Pole and the North Pole. The last but not least property of water is universal solvent. Water as a universal solvent. Water is commonly called as the universal solvent because it could, I should say, dilute or melt, let's say melt many substances. For example, water could melt sugar, it could melt salt, it could melt Kool-Aid powder, many other things. However, it does not mix with oil, which is why oil spills are very bad. Oil also has a lower density than water, which means that oil floats. When oil floats, it covers the ocean and it makes a top layer of oil in the ocean. When that oil eventually comes to shore, it eventually covers the birds in oil, the fish in oil, which cause difficulties to breathe, and yeah, it just leads to chaos. So water as a universal solvent is pretty important. Well, that was all that I could tell you about water, I guess. And, well, you should be thankful to water, and water is really cool. And, oh, something that you might need to know is that you need to drink 8 glasses of water a day, like that big glass. And yeah, thanks.